Moms of Reddit, what is a wild secret of your past that your kids rather not know about? When I graduated college, my mom casually dropped the fact that she, a tiny little Asian woman, used to deal large quantities of marijuana when she was in high school, and once had to skip a basketball game because she accidentally took a duffel bag full of weed out of school instead of her gym bag. So I guess that's how she paid for your college education? I wish. Nah. She just made me work my ass off until I earned scholarships. Both my parents were very honest throughout most of my life, but over the summer when I was 17 my mom had mentioned that before I was born that my dad wanted to get an abortion. I had figured out on my own why my dad wanted an abortion was because we didn't make enough money to support another child. But my mother fought for me. So my dad ended up stopped drinking and smoking to be able to financially support me. I'm the dad in this situation. But my wife used to be severely addicted to opiates, which I helped get her out of by moving the family to a new town and letting her spend 2 weeks in bed dealing with withdrawals while I handled every other aspect of the house, including finding work and setting up the kids for school etc. I just told the kids she was sick and needed to sleep, which wasn't entirely false. It was super emotionally taxing, but I would do it again in a heartbeat because it worked and she's been clean for 2 years. When my wife let it slip around her mom that she was having a lot of les urges, her mom just waved it off and said been there, done that. Didn't like it. During Vietnam War era my mom had a pretty serious boyfriend and he got drafted and she dumped him for my dad. My dad was abusive, an extreme alcoholic, and hit her regularly, so she kicked him in the gonads so hard that he couldn't have kids after me. Obviously. He's dead now, drunk driving. He took 4 people with him. My aunt got tipsy and told me everything. Not sure how wild this is, but right before I was born, like 2 or 3 days beforehand, my dad's older cousin had a daughter born severely unhealthy. She wasn't stillborn, but she wasn't going to make it past a few days. So anyway, after I was born my dad's aunt came into the delivery room and said to my mom, "You two are young, you'll have plenty of time to have another child, but my daughter can't. Let me buy this baby off of you." I only found out about this when I was 15 because my sister told me. Apparently my parents never planned on telling me this. Edit, ducking autocorrect. How much of my teens I spent high. But now weed are socially acceptable in most cases. That's not even a thing. I'm disappointed. It's almost fun in a way to have something to shock your kids with. My own mom is really vanilla and is very old school. Bet she's probably hiding the fact she runs a local swingers club or something. I was a drug dealer. Weed owned pills. Worked 2 legit jobs along with the game just to afford my 1-bedroom apartment. The bigger crime is probably that 2 jobs is not enough to afford a single bedroom apartment in some places. I grew weed illegally. When I did it, my straight-laced father went on a long speech about growing techniques and tips. About 2/3 through he kinda stopped and stared at me and my brother and adds the addendum. So I've heard. Either through it or my mom was shooting daggers at him. Growing up my mother was a titan. She graduated top of her class in her farm and chaired several major drug regulation boards. She was always very serious about school, and we were told that B's were absolutely unacceptable because she was a straight A student all through college. We took that to heart up until I was cleaning out the attic a few years ago when I discovered some old grade reports from college. Guess who got a C in sociology and another one in linear algebra? Tough take, mom. Tough take. I was a sugar baby in college. Made a lot of money but blew it all on dumb stuff. Also, my best friend from college and my roommate had the same sugar daddy. My kids call her aunt. They love her and she loves to babysit. My roommate and I had a lot of sex with each other. It was enjoyable, but it was mostly due to our daddy. He obviously found it hot. I was also submissive to both of them. Mommy did some nasty things. My mom used to date a drug lord in Birmingham, but was practically his crack whore. He raped her. She had my brother. And to get away from it all, she joined the military. Dude ended up going to prison at the same time and was stabbed to death just a few weeks in. My mother didn't tell us or my brother until he was around 35ish. Wow. Thanks for the silver, kind stranger. My first. My mum told me once, while she was tipsy, that my dad was actually her high school teacher and they began a sexual relationship when she was his student at the age of 16. She said they would often have sex with her in school uniform. They managed to keep everything under wraps for years. And they got married when she graduated from college and gave birth to me a few years later. I just learned that I was likely conceived on Easter, when my mom wore a crotchless lace on Ishi and teased my dad all night, and then I was born 9 months later. FML. Most of my life before I met her father, I sold Drew Gus to pay my way through college and almost married the dude I sold for. That's not even the worst thing. Not my mom, thank God, but an old girlfriend's. Her grandma got her mom drunk at the age of 15 and had a guest stranger have sex with her. Not quite wild. More dark really. And horribly sad. I was a flasher when I was a preteen living in Italy. Went through a phase, I guess. I would also prefer they didn't know about all the raunchy shit their future stepdaddy and I do behind closed doors. My mom told my siblings and me on Easter when I was 14 that she used to be a child prostitute for the accuser. She told us because her sister was going to tell us because she felt like my mom had stolen her daughter and was using it as a bargaining chip. My cousin came to live with us across the country because her mom was in jail for drug abuse. I don't want my kids to know anything about how I was raised. I really don't. Like, I can't watch anything family themed without crying. Most no kid movies leave me with a lump in my throat so big I could choke on it. And as they get older it's harder to turn my face far enough for them not to see and twice as hard to not cry. My ceiling is their floor and I really just don't want them to have to handle grown-up problems until they are grown-ups. My wild secret is that's why we go for walks as a family rather than the movies. The movies are somewhere my husband takes them for special one-on-one time, so it's still a special thing that they get to do. But I won't make them sit through their mom having a ducking breakdown over some Ohana means family and family means nobody gets left behind line. That my high school boyfriend and I had a son at 16 years old. We went through Catholic Family Services for an open adoption. We both get updates on how he is doing, even though we are not involved anymore. Also, my son is included in my will. That I met their dad on World of Warcraft when I was 16 and ran away to be with him 2 days before I turned 18. He is 11 years older than me. They can know the overview, but boy, the details of it are real shady. Especially when I am going to have to teach them internet safety and online stranger danger. I am now divorced and their dad has moved away. And we have a positive co-parent relationship, and though he's not very involved we both just want the best for the kids. Which leads me into the fact I don't want them to know how I feel about the relationship looking back and the manipulation and emotional abuse. I don't want my daughter to know that I wanted to abort her because I was 20 and in college and knew there was no way we could support her, and that I was heavily guilted into it by their dad because of his age, at 31, being his last chance. We used to sell weed by the pound out of grandma's basement. Dad loves all kinds of Drew Gus. And I have sampled most, just not the heavy ruin your life ones. Truly I just want to be a stoner at heart. Turns out there's only one mom on Reddit and the rest are guys who already know what their moms have been up to. Way to read. Fellas. I guess that I was a stripper for a while. And worked at a bank the same time. Don't think I would share that. But if I heard them talk down about strippers I'd probably educate them on what it's really like. I did what I had to do to put food on the table and give them a good life. My immediate family knows. Except my stepdad. And my children's dad knows. We sometimes talk about it but not really. This will get buried and this story is from my dad. When I was 19 and visiting home from college, my dad and I stayed up getting pissed drunk. When I told him about my love for psychedelics, he clapped and said, "I knew it." I asked why and he stated that Your mom was the acid queen. And we learned she was pregnant with you when she was 4 months in. We were tripping for your first couple of months. My firstborn daughter I had at a very young age. I was 18. In grade 12. Skipping every single day. Partying all the time and hanging out with a drug dealer at the time. That's her dad. He and I are not together. I moved on and got married and he is currently engaged, and he stopped dealing shortly after we found out I was pregnant. We co-parent really well actually. And he is now quite the stand-up father. All our daughter knows is that her mom and dad didn't love each other, so we separated. And now she's lucky to have 2 moms and 2 dads that love her very much. She's now 7. I'm wondering if it'll ever come out later about how her dad and I met. Edit. Love all the positive feedback. And yes, we all co-parent really well. It took a little bit of time. But that's normal I think lol. We just want her to grow up knowing that even though we may not all live together, percent 100 of the time, that we all talk and communicate and love her the same. Not a mum but a dad. My kids are going to have a few questions when they realize our cats are named after our favorite Drew, Gus, Lucy, Molly, Mushroom, and that all the aunties that spent the night aren't actually related and usually getting laid by us. That I supported myself and my infant daughter by working in an adult novelty store. When I was a struggling teenage mom. Her father had taken off. I was trying to get through school. I did what I had to do. And that involved selling dildos and body whip. And not asking questions about the section that was corded off and curtained. I'm married, but before I met my husband a lot of my relationships were with women. I would talk about, but I think they'd be grossed out about the thought of me having any life at all before they existed. I have also struggled with depression since I was a teenager. We have talked a little bit about why I take meds, but I don't think they understand how serious it is. Plus, marijuana has recently become legal in my state, so I am about to check that out. Not me, but my friend's mother. This was during her high school years. Senior year I think. Anyways, the drinking age here in Canada is 18. So you could be a RHS student and get it faced. One night she was bar hopping with some buddies. When she noticed a girl that had been her childhood bully standing around outside. Confronted her. Lots of yelling. One thing led to another. And my friend's mom lit her hair on fire. That woman still has short hair today. When I was 19. My mother thought I was 3 towns over staying with a friend while her parents were out of town. I was 4 states away with my 29-year-old boyfriend. By the time I was 17, I had been hospitalized for attempted suicide 3 times. There have been times since. Grandpa really isn't their grandpa. He's genetically my stepdad. Their biological grandfather is a drug-addicted, alcoholic pedophile that deserves to die a most painful death. I had 2 miscarriages before I turned 22. One at 17 and one at 21. The first because my boyfriend kicked me as hard as he could in my stomach. The second because I was in a car accident. It's best we don't even bring up mom's sex life. They have enough nightmares. My friends and I used to break into buildings for fun when I was in high school. We never got caught. We also never stole anything. But it was still super dangerous and also just ducking creepy on our parts.